Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Paul.
And my name's Amata. It's been a little while.
Yeah. Because we've had some comments on that.
Yeah, some people have been like, so what happened to the podcast? And I'm like, we've just been really, really busy. Like each week we'll be like, yeah, we'll do the podcast on this day, and then that day happens, and then all of a sudden just like, no, there's too much to do, don't have time.
Yeah. Basically, it was supposed to, I'll be honest with you, because I'm preparing to move, plus as well, on the Thursday and Friday last week, we were supposed to record the podcast, and then I took AMD interviews to the knee.
Yeah.
So,
basically, we took a lot of stuff to the knee. Each week we tried to do it. Something came up where we couldn't.
yeah, it's either hardware reviews,
Yeah,
software
or
reviews,
it's just-
games releases, Christmas.
And obviously Christmas as well didn't help. We took some well-deserved time off as well, so...
We did?
Yeah, we did.
I didn't.
Well, I did then.
I think I was working on an analysis, if I remember correctly, over Christmas. I don't remember which.
Well, when I say over Christmas, I mean Christmas Day and Boxing Day I took off because I had recorded a bunch of stuff, so I didn't have to do any work over Christmas.
Yeah, I was working those days, I think.
That's real nice.
I think I was at the gym, actually, Christmas Day.
Just don't.
What? It was nice and quiet.
Yeah, I bet it was, because who's going to go to the gym on Christmas Day? Apart from you.
Well, I needed to work off the turkey.
This is before you even had your turkey, I bet, that you weren't.
Well, exactly, I was preemptive. If you raise your metabolic rate by working out, in which case you burn through the food faster once you've...
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then. So, I'm guessing you've been okay, just insanely busy?
Yeah, just really busy. Contract work, plus RGT, plus preparing to move, plus
everything ever under the sun that has ever existed in the history of man.
So basically, I am going to be taking next week off, as you
Yes.
know. So there won't be Paul on the channel, unless I manage to put out some retrospective or retro content. Which
Maybe try and pre-record some stuff, but if not, you're stuck with me for a week. What?
I'm just going to leave that there.
Why?
Just because I felt that was pretty much all that there was, really.
Well, what else is there to say?
That's pretty much why I didn't say anything. Yeah, you didn't think of that one, did you?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, touche. But yeah, so next week I won't be here, but in that time I should have the KB Lake review up, or theoretically, and there shall also be the Robert Halleck interview, which I'm putting the fight. No, I'm sorry, not Robert Halleck.
Scott Wasson?
Yeah, there'll be Scott Wasson, and there was something else I'm working on as well, but I don't know if I want to say that yet.
Yeah.
So that will be up as well. Probably not the other thing. That's probably going to have to slip until after I come back, simply because I won't have the time.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
But yeah, it should be pretty cool.
Alright, cool. So, before we get on to the topics, what, if anything, have you been playing this week?
I have been adventurous.
You have?
Yes, I've been going into the depths. I've been slaughtering the undead in their masses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in other words, I've been playing Grim Dawn.
Ah.
And previously I'd actually completed Fear 2.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that was pretty good. But Grim Dawn's really good. I did a first impression-y kind of thing, like, in case you missed it, video. And you know what? It's basically, the best way I can describe it is Diablo 2-ish.
Yeah, I mean, I did see the trailer when it was on sale on Steam, and it did look very Diablo.
Yeah, so essentially you can multi-class. So for example, you can have one class and then create another character specialization, then obviously you've kind of got like a hybrid.
Right.
So at the moment I've created like a warlocky type of thing.
That's cool.
Apart from I've not gone deep enough into the trees really for either of them to get any of their special analysis yet, because I'm still kind of early in level.
Yeah.
I'm like level 14-ish. How about yourself?
You enjoyed the game?
Yeah. It's, the only problem with it is I don't have enough time to play it in long periods, which can be a bit frustrating. How about you?
I've been playing a lot of Binding of Isaac Rebirth, because I've got it on sale on Steam.
Go on.
And also the fan-made mod expansion thing called Anti-Birth. I've kind of been switching between the two.
Pray tell, continue.
And really enjoying it, even though I'm really, really bad at it.
Weren't you playing, I can't remember the game now, the theme park game?
Planet Coaster, yeah, I have been, but not this week.
Okay.
I did an episode, well, I recorded 2 episodes ago last weekend, And it's still really, really good. I would still recommend it to anyone who enjoyed like Roller Coaster Tycoon back in the day. It is very, very good indeed. Some minor niggles and frustrations, but it's a really good game. I'm really enjoying it. Even if I... the last episode... Well, not the last episode, the previous episode to that, I had a coaster that just needed to be a little bit more exciting, and it'll be perfect. Because you have like excitement, fear, and nausea, and they all need to be in the green to make like a good coaster, basically.
Right.
And this one was like just slightly in the yellow for excitement. So I'm like, right, okay, maybe throwing a couple of loops or something would be good. And like I completely just ruined the coaster. Like all of a sudden it was not that exciting, really nauseating and terrifying. Because obviously you don't want people to be too scared.
Why not?
Either, because they won't go on the coaster if it's too terrifying. And you want people to go on this coaster you just spent 20 grand making.
On the other hand, if they're paying the entrance fee, who cares?
Entrance to the park is free unless you tell it otherwise.
Doesn't sound like a good idea. That's not how Alton Towers works.
Yeah, but Alton Towers doesn't charge you $20 per ride.
Well, perhaps there's your problem. They basically charge you like £50 to get in, and then you just don't get to play any rides. So they're playing a smart game, really, aren't they?
So, before we get on to our topics, I just want to talk about Games of the Year, considering this is a topic I've had planned for ages. It's a bit late.
Yes.
But, you know, it's still we're still in January, so we could talk about what happened last year, right? No? Okay, well, no. I don't know if you saw my Game of the Year video, but
No.
basically... Thanks for that. Amazing. I only put like 5 hours worth of work into it.
Okay. Hey, what was the last analysis of video of mine you watched?
Alright, okay.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the answer. It only takes me 3 to 6 days sometimes. Could you
I
elaborate?
kid.
Okay.
Anyway, so my games of the year were obviously Doom.
Yes, I think we can all agree to that.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on Doom because, well, it was just awesome.
It was.
Like, I wasn't keen on the multiplayer beta, but when the single player actually, like, full game came out, I was just blown away. It was very, very good.
It was.
And a really, really good soundtrack. I actually purchased the soundtrack.
Really?
Because, yeah. You can buy it on Google Play and just download it. It's like £7 or something. I'm like, that is pretty good for a soundtrack that good, so...
To be fair as well, I don't mind supporting it because that might mean they produce more stuff.
Yeah, no, that album is just really good. Like, outside of Doom itself, it's just a really good album. So, you know, I'm happy to support Mick Gordon in that.
Okay.
So it was Doom, obviously. Overwatch, which I know you're not going to agree with, considering you haven't even played it. But it's there because, you know, I really enjoy that game and it's fun. I also put Icy on there, which you bought me.
I did. Really? That made it? How
It,
come?
it was a late entry,
Right.
and normally I do 5 games of the year.
Okay.
But this time I did 6 because I didn't want to cut anything to make room for Icy, basically.
Right.
And no, I just really enjoyed it because I kind of knew what to expect going in, because the reason I even knew the game existed is because the Co-optional podcast had been speaking about it, or to be more specific, Total Biscuit had been speaking about it.
Yeah.
And from what he said, it sounded really cool, so I was like, alright, I want to check it out. And it was just really, really good, even though I kind of knew it was going to be this weird, like, meta-narrative and stuff. It was just really funny and just a really, really good game in general. So, yeah, no, that was a very good game, and it's very cheap as well. So I would definitely recommend Icy to everybody.
You would?
Mm-hmm.
Did it make you happy face?
It did.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Inside was on there, which is basically more Limbo, if you like Limbo.
I was going to say, isn't it
like
basically?
Inside.
Isn't it essentially Limbo?
I actually prefer it to Limbo, which I'm sure is going to be a controversial statement to some people, but
Well, tough on them.
one of the reasons I prefer Inside to Limbo is simply because the graphics of Limbo, as great as they were, as interesting as they were, it was very hard to tell what things even were sometimes. Which led to a lot of deaths where, like, okay, those are spikes, not blades of grass or whatever.
That can be a problem.
Yeah, whereas Inside, while it still has a very interesting graphic style, is clear is what things are or what they are.
Mm.
You know? So Inside was very, very good. The ending that I got, meh, but, you know, overall the game was really good. Also, we had Dark Souls 3, which is a pretty obvious contender, but
I'd agree to that one as well.
It's a very, very good game. I know a lot of people were like, yeah, but it kind of copied Dark Souls 1 a lot, didn't really do anything new, and I'm like, that's fine, to be honest. That's fine with me, because, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, as far as I'm concerned. Dark Souls 3 is really, really good, and I would quite happily play more of that Soul series until someone does it better. They are the king of that particular genre, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Anything else?
Lastly was Pony Island, which is weird. It's basically a game where it's like an endless runner, except it's not an endless runner. You're a person playing an arcade machine with that in it, but the devil is trying to steal your soul for the game.
Okay.
And your aim is to kind of like break the game and like find out what's actually going on, and you actually end up going into the game's code and talking to like souls that are trapped inside the game that Satan has already gotten and stuff like that. It's a really weird experience, but it's very cool.
Cool.
Any nominations for you then?
Gears of War.
Really?
Yeah. I really love the single player.
'Cause I haven't played it myself, it's not really my thing, but I've heard from long-term fans of the series that, while it's good, it's not the best of this franchise.
Stuart, as you know, is about the biggest Gears of War fan in the world.
Yeah.
And he does love it long time.
Mm-hmm.
He actually really is enjoying it.
Oh.
Doom, obviously.
Yeah.
Dark Souls, even though I've not completed it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Uncharted 4.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to say... Final Fantasy 15. I haven't played enough of it yet, but I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about Final Fantasy 15, which is good because,
I really want to sink into it, but I just don't have the time to throw myself into it properly. And it's really pissing me off because I want to.
Yeah.
I even bought the high-end strategy guide and everything. And it's the collector's edition one. And I've just got it sitting there like, play me. And I'm just like, but.
We should take a couple of days just to play it because that game, from what I've heard, is really good. I haven't played it yet myself. So.
A couple of days. That'll get me for probably the first chapter.
You know what I mean?
Do you want me to tell you something really scary?
Sure.
On Final Fantasy 7, I think I probably clocked in about 300 hours on one of my plays.
Really?
Yeah, I literally had the materia where I mastered every single summon materia 3 times. So I literally had like 4 master summons, 4 master magics, and God knows what else.
That's crazy.
I was farming in the underwater ship and a couple of other areas where I literally had all my stats at max as well for Cloud, and I think someone else.
That's crazy.
I know. It made it so I just ruffle stomped the.
Yeah.
I actually had this set up with Cloud. I think against both Ruby weapon and Emerald weapon. And I literally had it so that my characters were so powerful and I had all the setup right that I literally just walked away, and when the enemy attacked, I would kill them. Because it would be like counter plus Knights of the Round. Like Knights of the Round Master Magic was linked to... Master Summon was linked to MP Turbo, which increased the damage of Knights of the Round. And it was also linked to Health Power Regen, and it was also linked to Magic Power Regen. So in short, every time they countered me, or they attacked me, I would literally just count them with Knights of the Round, which would hit them for I think it's 13 hits at 9,999 damage, so call that 130,000 damage per time. So they've got about 1 million health. So essentially within about 7 to 8 turns of me just walking away and getting coffee, they would be dead.
Oh, that's pretty nuts. Very quickly before we move on, I just want to say 3 games that missed out, one of which I actually forgot about in my video, which I kind of kicked myself out over. But The Last Guardian missed out because the controls was like too much. Like, it's a great game from what I played, but the controls just too bad.
They suck balls, okay.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Dishonored 2 missed out because while it's a really good game, I wouldn't really call it a game of the year material myself.
It's a good game, but I'd agree with you.
Yeah. And the last one that missed out is Darkest Dungeon as well, which I put an obscene amount of time into this year.
You did.
And it's a really, really good game, but it can get really grindy in the middle, and the RNG can just completely screw you over sometimes, to the point where you can't even do anything. So,
fair enough.
However, they are going to be addressing this with some of the DLC that's just been delayed, actually. So, sad face on that. But yeah, those are the games that missed out on my Game of the Year awards for last year.
Okay.
Alright, now we've spent 15 minutes on that. Let's talk about the Nintendo Switch, shall we?
It sucks. Move on.
Now, let's talk a bit more why it sucks.
Okay.
Yeah, he's rubbing randomly. Come on.
Okay. Ridiculously expensive for what it is. If you include all the accessories, $80 on the Pro Controller, $90 on the dock. The SD card is ridiculously slow. Plus, as well, only 32 gigabytes internal storage. The online service is a joke. They give you one free. Oh no, I'm sorry. They rent you one free game per month. You know what? If it was Sony or Microsoft that made that offer, someone would come up and bitch slap Phil right on the face.
I know. I couldn't believe that because honestly,
And they actually felt. You know the worst part? They were proud. They were actually feeling like they were doing you a service. Only Nintendo could say to you, yeah, essentially we're just going to give you this little tiny ROM file. They've got so many games in their back catalogue. They own so many IPs, including Earthbound, including all these freaking games. Not because people always think, well, Nintendo have Mario and they have Zelda. No, they have the rights to games like Earthbound. They have all of these games, all of these rights. They've got 700 or 800 games in the back catalogue on the NES alone. Konami, for example, would easily, quite happily put games on the Virtual Console, but they drip feed them on. On top of that as well, the controllers look tiny. The online service, actually, no, I'm sorry, I've got stuck on the online service for a second. Not only this, right? Not only this. Now, I'm not saying Sony are perfect. I mean, after all, they did give away our credit card details and didn't inform us for a month. But still.
Yeah, that was that little thing, yeah.
And then, of course, we're sorry. I tell you what, here's these couple of retro games. We're just going to give you for free. But at least with Sony, they've given some indication that their online service is worth paying for. I mean, it started off basically like, I don't know, AIDS on the PS3. But at least, it's slowly got a little bit better. But, I mean, Nintendo. I mean, look at 3DS. Look at the Wii U. Is that indicative of an online service to you?
I know.
Friends codes.
That's the thing, like... This is why I retweeted it on the official RGT Twitter. ToeBiscuit said, at what point have Nintendo ever indicated they can provide an online service that's worth paying for? And, however, before anyone says it, I'm aware that's why they're doing the free trial, so they can get feedback, so when it actually, you have to pay money, they're prepared. That is one thing that they've actually done right. However, their offering compared to the PS4 and the Xbox One is fucking just a joke. Because you get one free game per month, and then after that month it's gone.
I know,
and
it's laughable.
NES or SNES title as well. And do you know what's funny? You were saying about the huge library that they have of ROMs and stuff that they could easily put on the virtual
I'm pretty
console.
sure as well, if you've bought games on the Wii U, for example, they don't carry over to the new account.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
That's what I heard.
I don't think so, because there's no way that they can play.
It's
Anyway,
ridiculous.
Reggie spoke about why there's no games bundled on the machine. And he was like, oh, it's to keep costs down. And I'm like, alright, that makes sense for like a big budget game, but are you seriously telling me that you couldn't just bung a few NES or SNES games on there and it would literally cost you nothing?
Or even a couple of Wii games. Anything.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what pisses me off about Nintendo? The fact that I want to support them. I want to. I'm sick. I don't want a situation where all we've got is Microsoft and Sony, because I don't hate Microsoft or Sony, but at the same time, I want something different. I do. I'm sick and tired of just having Microsoft and Sony. But Nintendo, you know what it is? It's like knowing someone in real life who could be ridiculously successful and just make an amazing contribution to society. But instead, they're just happy to stick pencils up their nose and call themselves like successful. Only Nintendo can have the best library of IPs out of any company. Like, their library of IPs, and I don't just mean like, bloody Mario 5000. They could have so much potential as a developer, as a platform holder, but their policies on YouTube, their policies on how they drip feed retro games. I mean, just imagine, for example, if they put up all the NES games, all the SNES games, all the N64 games, just even their own and the ones they had IP, the license for, if they put all of those games up, the GameCube, they would have a library. They could even have some of them like Netflix, where it's a streaming service. Like, NVIDIA's Shield technology. People would happily pay $20 a month to have access to all of those games. No fuss, no muss, you just play the game. Imagine you're streaming like a title. Just for example, you're streaming Metroid Prime on the GameCube. You could do that, and people would be happy to pay $15 a month for that. But they don't, and it's just, it doesn't make any sense to me. They are the company. Like, everyone rags on Electronic Arts, and trust me, Electronic Arts, if you think about it, back in the days of the Atari ST and the Amiga 500, Electronic Arts were just amazing as a company. Like, they were one of the companies that put together, I think it was Paint Shop Deluxe, that was synonymous with the Pharaoh image you see in a lot of 8 to 16-bit graphics with all the various paint programs. And essentially what they used to do, their technology with Trip Hawkins, they really revolutionised gaming. And Activision as well, I believe they were like the first third-party publisher, Activision. And so, as much as you see those companies go downhill in terms of innovation, you've got to admit that, in terms of a company, they're kind of okay. But Nintendo, I don't understand.
The thing that gets me, apart the online thing is pretty bad, but also the price, not only of the machine, but also of the accessories. Like, the price for the controllers is a joke.
It is. Like,
£65 for the Pro controller? Really?
Have you seen as well that the Skyrim, $60?
Are they for real?
$60 for Skyrim.
I'm pretty sure it's $60 for that 1-2 Switch game that's literally a collection of mini-games that should really be bundled with the device.
I know, they could have given that away.
I mean, I can kind of understand what they did, because they clearly put time, money behind it, but, it's not $60 regardless of that.
No.
It's just not. I mean... The launch lineup is just, it's 5 games. Day one is 5 games, and only one of them is people, well, maybe 2 if you can count Bomberman. But Zelda is the one that most people are going to care about.
I know. I
can't.
The thing is with the Switch as well is I was so excited as a prospect at the initial announcement. When they first held the Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this system actually looks militant. And over the months, I was getting increasingly concerned. And then I was thinking to myself, I've got no hope when the system is formally announced and shown off. And then I was like, well, there goes my hype.
And we still don't know what's inside the machine, but it's not looking good if the rumours are true. So...
Shattered hopes?
To be fair, the responses have been pretty mixed from a lot of people. A lot of people have been saying, I'm going to wait till the price drops, I'm going to wait for more games to be available, I don't want to spend this much just for Zelda, that sort of thing. And I'm like, that's fair enough, I feel the same way. I'm after to get a Wii U so I can play Zelda, to be honest with you, because apparently the performance difference is not that much.
There are some differences in terms of graphics, but
I have seen some screen grabs, and the Switch version does look better, but...
They're not that much better.
Does it look better to the point where I'm going to spend, £100 extra? Not really.
Anyway.
We also have some stuff regarding the Microsoft Game Mode. Very quickly, you and I both done videos on this particular topic, how this was rumoured to be coming in a recent update for Windows 10. Going to be bringing performance improvements and all that to the system. Well, Microsoft have confirmed that it's a thing. They haven't really said much more than, yes, it's real. It's coming apparently sometime in March or April.
Right.
So, yeah, I just want to say that it's been confirmed by Microsoft. So... What about Ryzen? What's been happening with Ryzen lately?
So we have had the Robert Halleck interview, which was quite informative. What I was actually saying to Scott as well during the interview, I don't know if I'll cut this out or not because we went off topic a couple of times during the interview, so I might cut it, I'm not sure. I might leave it in. But I was saying that I'm actually surprised how... Because Vega is not looking to be released until the latter first half of this year, so I don't know what period you want to call that, but before the
Q3?
No, that latter first half.
So Q2 then?
Yeah, probably some point Q2.
Okay.
But basically, if you consider how much data they've shown about Vega and Ryzen, I was really surprised with how forthcoming they've been. Although Scott was telling me that there are a lot of features, I don't want to give away too much because obviously it's in the interview, that they've not announced with Vega.
Really?
There are features that they have not announced with Vega, and he alluded to the similar with Zen, which of course would make some sense.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, I'm very impressed with both.
Do we know the actual release date for Zen yet?
Do you want me to give you the unofficial release date or the official release date?
Official.
Official, some point before end of Q1.
Okay, and what's the unofficial?
27th February.
That sound about right to you?
I believe that's not CS. Can't remember what it is, but
GDC, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's GDC. And I think the reason that popped up is there's a discussion in GDC. I can't remember what it's called, but I did do a video on it, and it's something along the lines of getting the most out of optimization and performance of AMD Zen, of the recently released or the released AMD Zen.
Right. So there's going to be a conference at GDC. And it would make sense for everybody to unveil the
processor before or
the actual
release
release date, price, etc. Any details that might not have been confirmed, all that sort of
No,
thing.
they're saying essentially that they're going to give a talk on optimization of the architecture.
Yeah, what I'm saying is they'll unveil it properly before that, and then they'll have the talk.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying.
Yeah. So what else? Anything? We've got some stuff from Vega.
Yeah. So, in regards to Vega, it looks like there's a lot of okay. There's a lot of dissenting opinions on Vega. That's what I'm going to say on the performance side of things.
Okay.
I've talked to AMD about this some, and I don't want to give too much away because once again it's in the interview. But basically, I get the feeling that they're not being honest about Vega's performance in terms of, I think the performance, they're sandbagging.
What does that mean?
I think they're basically holding back the performance of the architecture.
Right, why do you say that?
Because it makes no sense for it to be 10% faster than the GTX 1080 for the high end.
Right.
So I don't have any evidence of this, as in I don't have hard evidence, but here's why I believe it. I think there's several different variants of this.
Mm-hmm.
One, the drivers are not final. They said they're basically using Fiji drivers and others Fury drivers, which means that they're nowhere near release. Secondly, the silicon is really early. It's not final revision silicon by any stretch of the imagination. Thirdly, Raja Kodori kind of fucked up in an interview, and he accidentally announced that it was Vega they were showing, but it's not the final configuration of Vega.
Right.
Vega 10, sorry. So he kind of screwed up and tried to backtrack on it himself.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he should not have said that.
Right.
The fourth thing is that supposedly what they've shown us so far has an abstraction layer, which basically means that sorry, not abstraction layer, a debugger layer.
Right.
So basically, it's probably eating up some CPU and GPU resources.
Right, I see.
The next thing is that supposedly, from what I've heard anyway, the clock speeds and stuff are still not final. So I personally believe it's not indicative of the final performance of the hardware.
Right.
Because otherwise you're going to get hardware which is essentially 10-20% faster than a slightly overclocked GTX 1080, but 12 months later.
Which makes no sense, yeah.
No, I personally think that the card is much faster. One thing I can tell you as well is Raja mentioned in an interview, but he wouldn't elaborate, and Scott wouldn't either when I asked him. He gave a kind of a PR answer, but what they said is basically that it's not just about T-flops.
Well, that's true.
They've said basically, I don't want to misquote Raja, but essentially he said something along the lines of they're optimizing the hardware for performance that's not just teraflops, and that's going to trickle down the entire line.
Right.
So it sounds to me like they're trying to, essentially Vega is not just going to be the high end, it's going to be the mid, low, everything. It's going to be a complete reshuffle of the architecture.
Okay.
So basically, from what I can understand, they want Vega to be basically to shake up the mid-range as well.
I see, right.
So let's say, for the sake of argument, the Polaris lineup, which was like the RX 470, 480, just for example, they really shook up the $200 mark with the 480.
Yeah.
I think they want to do the same with Vega, and I think they want to increase the performance of the card. But it sounds like, because Raja was saying something along the lines of that Vulkan was being used because of the intrinsic optimizations of the Vega architecture. So I think that drivers, they had to do less work with those drivers.
Right.
Basically, because Vulkan was already more optimized, because it was basically speaking closer to the metal of the GPU, so I think it required less work. And he said something along the lines of, I haven't got infinite amount of engineers, so I've done with what we can.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, I just think there's something more in there.
Yeah, I mean, from what you said, it makes perfect sense that they're still working on it. They've kind of held back performance for whatever reason.
Probably because, to be honest, it's probably not just because they want to hold it back from Nvidia. Some of it is probably because they
are actually still working on it.
Yeah, it's not final. It's not
So,
final drivers.
We're not going to see a release anytime soon, then, basically.
No.
Okay.
I think basically that they're going to wait, and they're just going to hold it. I mean, there was rumors that Nvidia were going to show the GTX 1080 Ti, but they held back because they didn't want to give away what the price and performance was. They were nervous. And basically, I can't remember which board partner it was. Actually, I don't think they revealed their name. But a couple of people interviewed board partners during CES.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, it was said that Nvidia were going to announce it, but they held off the last minute. They made a last minute decision not to do it.
Right.
And it's actually pissed some people off. In fact, you know EVGA, who are an exclusive partner with Nvidia,
Mm-hmm.
you might recall,
Yeah.
there's rumours in the pipeline that they're actually really impressed with the Vega architecture, and they might actually become multi-GPU. So they will do both Nvidia and AMD, which
That would be very interesting.
it's kind of a revolution. I'm personally, you know what, I don't root for either company. I don't really give a shit. I just want the best value. But I do want competition in the marketplace.
Well, I was about to say, like, I hope it's good simply so it's not Nvidia.
No, I hope it's a nice. I hope it's a good card, and I hope the CPU Ryzen is also really
Yeah.
Although Robert was giving me a lot of indicators that the Ryzen is going to be pretty amazing.
Well, from what I've seen so far and what I've heard from you, it sounds pretty good, to be honest. Very quickly, one thing I forgot to mention about the Switch, just very, very quickly, is that someone on Twitter, I can't recall who, said that these are one of the people who'd actually gotten their hands on the hands-on event that they had shortly after the presentation. And they basically said that when undocked, the Legend of Zelda, I think, or even if it's not Zelda, a game, I'm pretty sure it was Zelda, but, you know, ran pretty solid 60. But when it was docked, the performance was actually worse. And you might be like, what? That makes no sense. But I actually said this to myself. It's like, wait, so the performance is worse? And they said, well, yeah, because it's running at like 720 or 900p, something like that, when it's handheld mode. But when it's docked, it's 1080p. Which means that the Switch can't do a launch title at solid 60 when docked. Just want to throw that out there. Any comments rather than just looking at me?
So moving on.
Oh, come on.
I was just thinking about all the consoles, and I'm just like, oh god.
Yeah.
But the PS4 Pro.
Oh, that makes me so sad. Like, I really wanted them to do 60, not 4K, but you know, it doesn't sound as impressive.
Well, technically, they can. It's just down to
some
developers.
games have, but you know.
So if it makes you feel any better, they're not doing 4K either. They're just doing checkerboard rendering.
I'm aware they're not doing 4K. Although Microsoft keeps saying with the Scorpio that it's going to be 4K 60, and I'm like, really? You sure about that? We'll see.
Anyway.
Last thing I want to talk about is the court case between ZeniMax and Oculus VR. What's that?
You're like, you know, throwing mud and handbags at you.
Yeah, right. You may recall that a couple of years ago ZeniMax sued Oculus, basically accusing them of stealing trade secrets to actually make the headset, basically accusing them of stealing their research. And the court case has only just now started, despite the fact that they sued them back in like 2014.
That's what these litigations are.
Yeah, anyway, and ZeniMax released a statement basically saying that not only are they going to prove that Oculus did steal trade secrets, and they also previously accused John Carmack of helping them. Whether or not that's going to be in the court case, I don't know. That was outside of that. But they also said that they're going to prove that Oculus destroyed evidence to cover up the fact that they have done this. And I'm just like, that is That is a serious accusation. What are you doing?
Pretending I'm eating popcorn.
And I'm just like, okay, let's entertain for a second that ZeniMax are telling the truth. And there's a lot of people that think, oh, they're just after them Facebook dollars. And there was part of me that thought the same as well for a while, to be honest. But let's just entertain for a minute that they are telling the truth, and that not only did Oculus steal trade secrets, but they also destroyed evidence to try and cover it up. That could be catastrophic. I mean, the Rift isn't doing brilliantly because A, it's really expensive, and B, a lot of people think the Vive is better. So if that were to happen, ouch.
Yeah.
Basically. I mean, that's all there is in that court case. I said it's literally just begun, like a week or so ago. I would imagine that this case is going to go on for a couple of years, given that it took a couple of years just to get started. But it's turning ugly already.
These litigations do. On the plus side, it's not Nvidia suing or being sued for once.
Yeah, that's actually quite nice.
I think it was like Sam in Nintendo. I'm pretty sure they've sued everyone at this point.
I'm pretty sure someone sued Nintendo. No, Nintendo sued someone or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Do you know the best part? What was the game? There was another game recently that just had Pokemon characters put into it.
Oh, Ark Survival Evolved.
Yeah, and I got DMCA.
MCA.
Hear it for the
DMCA.
We're probably gonna get DMCA now.
Oh, irony.
You know my favourite words one of my favourite terms?
No.
Cease and desist. I think that's a fucking amazing.
It is a pretty.
phrase.
It's a pretty.
There's no ambiguity.
It rolls off the tongue, you know.
Yeah, I do love
Cease
things on
and
my tongue.
desist. Huh?
I do think like things on my tongue.
Now this isn't from this week, but I just want to throw it in as like a last little extra bonus for this week.
Welcome to the circus of value.
Yeah, exactly. There was a really interesting interview done with an anonymous source who's very familiar with the ongoings at Valve. And basically they've said that Half-Life 3 will never happen, and neither will Half-Life 2 Episode 3.
Apparently there's an AMA going on with Gaby Boy today.
Yeah. Although knowing him, he's probably going to say that he won't answer Half-Life 3 related questions, because that's what he's done in the past.
Okay, Half-Life 2 Episode 3.
Yeah, and basically what this person said, and I won't go through all of it because the full statement from them is really long. Go watch my video if you haven't seen it. But basically they said that like every now and again a group of people will get together, decide to make Half-Life 3, because you know how Valve works, there's no real structure. Everyone can just kind of do what they want.
To be fair, it works well with Steam.
Valve is a very different company to how most companies usually work, and
some actually produce stuff.
Regardless, people get together, they start working on Half-Life 3, it all goes well, you know, it starts attracting up to 40 people at one point apparently, but, you know, without any real capital, without support from, like, you know, people higher up, not just Gabe, but people obviously under him and so on, it just collapses under its own weight, and obviously the next time someone else wants to do it, it's all that harder to do it, and this has happened a few times now. So because of that, and the fact that, you know, they're making mad money on Steam, CSGO, Dota, you know, then why would they make Half-Life 3 at this point? Some people have said, oh, they're waiting for the next innovation because they've always pushed innovation with each game. Like Half-Life was the first to have like a real physics engine and stuff like that.
Well, it wasn't the first game.
Well,
it pushed the physics.
Push the physics engine, yeah. So probably some people have said, oh, they're waiting for the VR to really take off and then they'll do it. And I'm like, maybe, but I doubt it, to be honest. I mean, I'm sure we'd all love to have one, but will it? Doesn't seem likely, does it now? So, any thoughts, hopes? Do you think it's alive or is it dead?
I don't even know. If you asked me 2 years ago, I'd have said they were definitely working on it with Source 2.
Yeah.
If you asked me at the beginning of 2015, I'd said they're working on it for Source 2 because those were the rumours.
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
Now, I don't know. All I know is that it's kind of weak that they didn't finish Episode 3.
Yeah, I mean,
like if they don't want to do Episode 3, that's like Half-Life 3.
They should at least do Episode 3. Yeah.
Yeah, they should at least do Episode 3.
Yeah, because they promised two episodes and they've only done one of them, right?
Yeah, two.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you know what I mean.
So they should at least do that.
Yeah, I
give
agree.
Some closure to the
No,
story.
I think they should. I think they should do at least Episode 3, even if they don't do Half-Life 3.
I mean, personally, what I think they should do is, you know, the guys who are doing Black Mesa.
Yeah.
They should just get them to do it, and they should give some of the original design docs to them and tell them what the storyline was going to be, how it was going to happen, because they're familiar with the source engine. So just get them to do it. Pay them to do it.
I think that would be a really good idea, and I'm sure they'd be happy to do it. Like with them with some like Valve mad money behind them.
Yeah, I mean, just get the voice actors who did Freeman and all of the other cast, and it.
Good one. You're proud of that one, yeah.
I just wondered if anyone would actually catch that.
Of course, come on. Anyway, unless there's anything else that you want to talk about, I think that's us done for this week, and we're gonna be weekly again, we promise.
Well, we won't be next week.
Huh?
We won't be next week.
Well, apart from next week, because Paul's having a well-deserved week off. But after that week, then we're going to be weekly again.
That sounds like...
She says with trepidation.
Them sounds like committal words to me.
They are committal words. I love them committal words.
You sound so positive on these outcomes.
I do. It's quite amazing, actually.
Yes. Quite.
Yeah, so thanks very much for listening, guys. Sorry about the huge gap between this episode and the last episode, which I can't even recall when it was, to be quite honest with you. Over a month and a half ago. 2 months ago, I think.
November-y?
Something.
It
was a while ago.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Far too long ago.
Probably.
Yeah.
Possibly.
So we won't see you next week because Paul's on holiday.
Yeah,
although I might see. Although
there won't be a camera in your room.
I might see if I can rope James into helping me out again. We'll see. Regardless, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
RGT cat on the ceiling is watching you masturbate.
Yes.
Because we're watching them next time.
Yes, we're always watching them.
Maybe not all the time. That'd be kind of exhausting.
True. Well, we got to count in food breaks and stuff.
So basically, every 20 minutes, I need to go eat. So.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye for now.
Pretty much.